And we're live. 3, 2, 1. It's your man DJ Seko, and I'm back with my man, my brother from another mother and father, Dan Tres Omi. What up, homie? How you doing, bro?
Peace, man. How you doing, Seko? Good to talk to you again, man.
Yes, sir. I'm not gonna say hola. Hello, hermano. That's what's up.
Dímelo,
You're
primo.
supposed to take me home and feed me, right?
Yes. So whenever.
So the not so inside joke I'm talking about is revealed on Dan Trez's podcast, which you should be listening to, and it's called
Where My Killer Tape At? And yes, you should be listening to it.
Right. So on this episode, the last episode, Frogs of Solomon, interesting title, you mentioned that Tariq Nasheed and Dr. Umar Johnson don't like black women. Now, when I was with you guys for Thanksgiving, we were at the restaurant in Columbus, Ohio, and you said that, and I was like, but Tariq's wife is black. And you said, but he still hates black women. And you know, actually, I try to rebut you, but I really said I need to do a little more research before I go at Dan, because Dan always got the facts. So talk to me, bro. Talk to me.
Actually, the Frogs of Solomon episode of Where My Killer Tape At is strictly about Black Panther and T'Challa. It was in the previous episode, and I think the name of it was I've Been on the Amistad Beat. Are You My Uber? That's the name of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
What happened was I had a conversation with someone, and we were talking about how you can be white and you can be married to a black person and you can still be racist.
Right.
We talked about that. And so it reminded me of that same conversation that you and I had, where I was like, you could be married to a black woman and even have a black daughter, but you could still hate black women, right? And let me just say this real quick before I get into that. Black women have been saying that Tariq Nasheed and Dr. Umar Johnson both hate black women. They've been saying that way before me. You know, they're the ones that hit me to it. Black women hit me to that. At first, I was just like you. I was like, really? But then when I started doing the research and listening closely, I was like, man, they do hate black women. So I'm not the first one to say that. And like the T-shirt says, you know, a black woman said it first. So it did. I noticed that Tariq Nasheed, when he had some issues with some black feminists, particularly during the time when the Black Lives Matter movement took off.
Right.
Black Lives Matter, the organization, was started by 3 black women.
Right.
And 2 of them happened to be.
One of them was Afro Latino, right?
Yeah, something like I think so. Yeah, and then I know 2 of them were lesbian, and they actually married. They actually got married, and a lot of people took a backlash to that, as well as the fact that what's that brother's name with the blue vest? He's gonna kill me. I can't remember his name. That went down to Ferguson. He was from Baltimore. He ran for the mayor of Baltimore. I can't remember his name, but he's gay. So a lot of people, there was a big backlash about that, and they were saying that these people were wedded to white supremacy because they were gay or lesbian.
And you know what? And you know the Black Lives Matter movement, their agenda did shift to start including supporting LGBTQIA agenda items. So I did know
for black people, because if we're gonna say Black Lives Matter, we have to say all Black Lives Matter, not just black males, right?
But Black Lives Matter, the thing I had, and I don't have a problem with it because they started the movement, and I support their movement. I'm not a part of Black Lives Matter, but what I had a concern because what started off with focus squarely on police overreach and abuse of power shifted, and when it shifted, it allowed people to start saying, well, if Black Lives Matter, then why is this happening? If Black Lives Matter, why is this happening? Because they moved from being focused on one thing to having 2 or 3 different focuses. And I'm not saying it was a bad move, but I'm saying it just allowed people to start misusing the hashtag in ways that hurt the movement.
I disagree. I disagree. I think, again, if we're going to say Black Lives Matter, we got to include people who are black who are in the LGBTI community. We have to.
That's not
and we have to talk about how black women are treated. We got to talk about, because they started talking about the black wage disparities, you know what I'm saying, particularly for black women. And I think if we're going to say Black Lives Matter, then we need to also talk about representation in media. We need to also talk about, you know, the black incarceration rates. We need to talk about all those things. If we're going to say that, then yeah. So I don't think there's a shift in the agenda. I think it's a shift, not a shift in the agenda. I think that if I say Black Lives Matter, I should include marginalized groups, such as those that are in prison. You know, so you see what I'm saying? Like, and so they do all that. And I think that, to me, is crucial and important. Anyway,
and to me, I thought it was mission creep, because we start in one focus and then we start adding other pieces. And then I think.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this, man. If the revolution is not intersectional, then I don't want to be a part of it.
You're missing my point, bro. I'm simply saying that with the term Black Lives Matter, I thought that it kind of diluted the focus when they added other items. Although I support the items. I support the other agenda items. I just think they could have done something a little different. But I wasn't.
Again, and look, we're old school. We're old school. Yeah. So we you know, even though the term intersectionality came out in the 90s, a lot of young activists are using that today. And, you know, we're old school. We come from a time where we stay in our lanes. You know what I'm saying? We might ally with a particular group or organization that has a slightly different agenda than we do, right? But intersectionality is crucial, you know, and we have to include other marginalized voices, which I'm glad you brought that up, because when we talk about people like Tariq Nasheed, and we talk about people like, you know, Umar Johnson, right? Dr. Umar Johnson, that's what we're talking about, intersectionality.
Okay.
And going back to what happened was, now Tariq Nasheed wasn't the person that created this term, but he's the one that kind of mainstreamed it. And it's the term bedwench. And he started calling particular black women that he had issues with, he started calling them bedwench. Now, according to him, a bedwench is a slave during the chattel slavery in the United States who you know, seduced or decided to sleep with their slave master to get certain privileges that other slaves didn't get.
Right.
Now, the fucked up thing about that is, excuse my language, is that it kind of downplays the power dynamics in that that's really just an abusive relationship, right? And it says that rape wasn't that bad for some situations. And I think that is very problematic, right? And this is the reason why, these are one of the reasons why rape culture persists. Because it claims, it tells a story that some of these victims were not actually victims. But rape is rape, no matter how you dice it. You know, the slave master had total and complete control over black bodies, you know, whether they were black women or not. And I think to call women bedwenches kind of downplays that oppression. It really, really does. And that signaled to me, like, damn, you really don't care about black women because you downplay the oppression of our black women ancestors. You really did. And then I started to see how he talked to certain people and how he talked about certain people. And a lot of it I'm gonna take personal, because he talked about a lot of people that I knew personally, a lot of black women that I knew personally, who have put in work, and how he talked about them and how he discussed them. And then on one of his radio shows, he actually had somebody impersonate somebody I know and call in. You know? And I was like, wow. And then just watch him online. Watching him online, you know, he attacked women, you know what I'm saying? And he attacked women, and he had his followers attack women as well, black women in particular. And I was just like, wow, like you would think that someone who claims to be a leader and is for black people would tell other black people, like, hey man, why don't you lay off a little bit? I disagree with this person, you know, but you don't have to, you know, he didn't do this, but he allowed a lot of his followers to make threats against certain people that I know. And he's never reneged on that. He's never said, hey, chill with that. He's never done any of that. And that was like, wow, that really shows me where you stand in all of this. And, you know, with Umar Johnson, what was disappointing about his situation is when he got caught up, and I know I shouldn't get personal, but when he got caught up when he went on that radio show and said he was celibate, and the sister like called him out on it. He had a lot of nasty things to say about her. And let's say for a minute that she was lying. Let's just say that theoretically speaking, she was lying, even though she wasn't lying. You know, is that how you would treat a sister? And then on top of that, he talked about sex workers like they were less than, you know what I mean? And again, it goes back to intersectionality, right? It goes back to when we say black liberation, do we discount black women who do sex work, right? You know, so that, and then, you know, when you see that kind of behavior, that kind of talk, and then you see people that follow him take it to the next level with threats, and they talk about other black women who are sex workers. Like that's, I don't think we should allow that to happen. I really don't think so. Because what we say oftentimes in the conscious community, what we say oftentimes is that we love black women, but we only like a particular black woman.
Okay.
Right? We only like the sisters that are conscious, the sisters that wear naturals, the sisters that speak a certain way, wear 3/4 of cloth. Right. You know, that's what we mean. And you know what? Those are not the only black women out there. You know what I'm saying? And if we truly love black women, we should include as much as humanly possible, you know?
So because he made some statements about particular women who said things that he felt insulted by, then these women started saying that he hates black women, and they didn't say some black women. He didn't say black women like us who speak out against some of his teachings. They just said he hates black women.
Which, and you know what? And again, I think maybe I'm not being clear. We have to be careful when we say, in the conscious community, talking about the conscious community, right? When we say we love black women, because a lot of us mean, and Umar Johnson is, and you know, actually, Umar Johnson is hypocritical at this point because, you know, here he is downgrading a sex worker when he knew he was dating a sex worker from the jump. You feel me?
Oh, yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, like, but what a lot of us in the conscious community say is we say we love and respect black women, but we only love and respect a particular type of black woman, right? So we cannot say with a straight face to anyone that we love black women, but only dig a particular kind of black woman. You know, you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? So we can't say, because when we say, oh, I love a black queen, I love a black woman, we only mean one type of woman. And I already gave you the criteria for that, right? Because most sisters don't get down like that. Plain and simple, right? Plain and simple. But just because they don't get down like that doesn't prove that they're less worthy of our love and respect.
So how would you suggest that a Umar or a Nasheed clap back or respond to some of the women who have said some disparaging things about them?
Number one, you can either ignore them, right? You could ignore them. And instead of going after them and insulting them online, right? You could ignore them. There's a thing called block. Or the best thing we should do, the number one thing we should do, right, is if we truly respect someone, anyone, right? If we truly respect someone, if they make a point that says, hey, I disagree with you because of A, B, C, D, E, right? Then you should say, okay, if I respect you, here's why your point A is wrong. Here's why your point B is wrong. Here's why your point C is wrong, et cetera, et cetera. But they're not doing that.
They're doing that, but they're also making disparaging remarks against these sisters.
Exactly. No, they're not even doing that. That's the thing. They're not even doing that. They're calling them bed wenches. They're not even doing that. You know, if I disagree with you on something, right, then I should say, hey, I disagree with you because of X, Y, Z. That's it. If I truly respect you. If I don't respect you, I could just block you. I could just ignore you. Right?
Okay.
Donald Trump does it all the time. Donald Trump ignores people that say all kinds of stuff on his Twitter, right? He ignores them. I'm like, wow, if he could do it,
All right, so for the record, you're using Trump as an example of how people should behave.
No, I'm not. But I'm just saying that if someone with such a low level of intelligence as him is doing it, then the people that claim to have knowledge of themselves, right? If we know better, we should do better. Plain and simple.
Salute Trump, man.
Plain and simple. You know, plain and simple. If you go on Twitter and you threaten me, I should just turn that over to the police. I don't need to come at you. I don't need to do that. If you disagree with me, say why you disagree with me. Don't threaten me with whatever you're going to do. Don't say, you know, there were sisters that I know were being threatened with rape. They were being threatened, you know, you bed wench, you went, yeah. And these are people
threatening them.
People that follow Tariq Nasheed. And what I'm saying is that those are your followers. I'm not saying that, but what he should say is, this is what he should say. And I'm gonna give you an example of somebody who did this exact thing, right? He should be like, hey man, y'all need to chill. Y'all need to chill. Like, what are y'all doing? You know, because what'll happen is he'll respond to somebody, and then everybody responds to them on their timeline. It's TL. And I police my TL. I don't want nobody being assaulted on my TL. I don't want nobody feeling threatened on my TL, because they're responding to what I said, right? And he should be like, hey, you know, you need to chill. Y'all need to chill, or block them or report them. If you on my TL and you threaten somebody on my TL, I'll report you. I'll block and report you. You see what I'm saying? Like,
okay.
So if you come on my TL and you say something, and somebody else comes on my TL and says something to you that's threatening or disparaging or whatever, I'm going to say, hey, man, you need to take that back, or I'm going to report you. And I've done that. You know, I used to do it on Facebook all the time. Like, hey, you're not going to insult that person on my page. You're not going to do that. You see, you feel me? And this is like, that's what you should do, you know. But they let that run. They let that go. They let other people say other stuff about these people. And it's just like, you know, come on, man.
Okay. And
you got to be better than that.
Because they're not taking the level of action that you're saying, then they hate black women in totality.
Nope. He has made, what I'm saying is, I didn't say that. I said he allowed these things to happen. So that kind of like proves my point. But the point is that he has said some disparaging thing about sisters, and he created that bedwench idea, right? That bedwench idea that downplays that oppression, you know. And these are the things that he does. He does these kind of things instead of dealing with the criticisms, right, of what he's doing, right? He should be like, hey, here's an example. Some sisters have called him out on his Art of Macking books. Okay. Right? They've called him out on that. He has never been like, hey, you know, that's what I did back in the day. You know, yeah, you know, maybe I should have rethought that, you know. But you can still buy that stuff on Amazon.
Oh, he still sells them.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I don't know if he sells it. Yeah. I'm not saying he sells it.
He does.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he sells it, but, you know, like, people have called him out on that. And you a bedwench. This is what you do. And this is like, come on, man. Like, you should discuss that.
But that's kind of like respecting both the sex worker and the woman that has different morals. Because now he's doing something different, even though at one time he did this. I'm not saying that you're wrong or they're wrong. I still haven't heard.
And here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. Look.
Right, go ahead.
Just like Kevin Powell says, I'm a recovering misogynist, right? I have said some things. Misogyny is what? Misogyny is violence and hatred towards women.
Okay.
Right? I have said some things, right? I have done some things that are misogynist, right? Matter of fact, take it another level, misogynor is hatred and violence towards women of color, particularly black women, right? I have done and said things that is misogynistic and that promotes misogynor. I have said and done things that have promote rape culture. Matter of fact, you go on my blog and you can pull all that information up and you'll see it. I have said things that were homophobic. I have said things that were transphobic, right? I leave them up there.
I mean, we grew up in that time when that was the norm.
Okay, still, come and check me on that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying I'm going to make excuses, right? I just want people to see my evolution. And I want to be as transparent as possible. I want to be able to say that when I go into the barbershop and I meet a brother who's misogynistic, right? I want to be able to say, hey, I can help change his thinking. How? Because that's what happened to me, right?
I get that. So if somebody goes on your blog and pulls up that content on you or on myself either, they'll be actually able to say that Dan Tres and DJ Seko don't like black women.
Exactly.
And that's not necessarily the case.
Exactly. But I should be able to explain my actions, right? And say, hey, this is the work that I'm doing now to fix that, right? Because people meet me all the time and they say, oh, you're so progressive. And I always make it clear, I wasn't always like this.
Yeah. You
know what I'm saying? And I want to be honest and clear with that. And I want to be honest with myself and them and say, there's still some things that I say and do that are misogynistic. There's some things that I say and do that are sexist, right? And I'm a work in progress. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a work in progress, and so that way
And I think all of us are. So when it seems to me that with some of these feminist groups who are saying, "Oh, I'm waking up and I'm seeing things differently, and now I'm going to talk about it." When they say things that disparage other people, and people clap back on them, then it really kind of muddies the water, because it looks like both of them aren't really seeing the whole picture. Neither one of them are acknowledging that people are works in progress and there has been some change.
But here's my thing. Okay. Let's say you are a young black gay man in college and you run across some of my stuff on medium.com. You'd be like, oh, snap. This brother's on point. I love what he's saying. And then you go on Google and you pull up my stuff. You pull up some of my old blogs. You're going to be like, oh, wait a second. And then you hit me up like, hey, man, back in here, you said this. What's up with that? Right? I should be able to say, you know what, man? You're right. I did say that. And this is why I left it up there. And I should be able to explain where that is, where I'm at, and where I'm going. Right?
And that's if they hit you up respectfully, because they come at you, it's going to be a different exchange.
And hold on, but see, we got to be careful, because there are people that have come at Tariq and Dr. Johnson and have said, hey, man, this is not cool. And they dismissed them. And they dismissed them. You're a bed wench. They dismissed them. They've done that. I've seen it happen. And I'm like, wow. And I've actually seen people give them points with sources, you know what I mean, et cetera, like long threads, and no, he refuses to look at them. He refuses to say boom, and it's just, again, I might say something problematic today, you know what I'm saying? And people are going to come check me. People are going to come. Some people, don't get me wrong, some people be mad disrespectful. But there's going to be some people that are going to be like, hey, look, yo, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Check it. Here are the sources. Here's that. And I should be like, oh, let me look. I'm not saying that you're right, but let me go look this information up and come back at you.
You should be. But
exactly.
What I see, and I'm not taking up for neither Umar or Tariq, because I was really disappointed when their little cat fight happened.
And look, and black women have warned us about that. They warned us about that, and we ignored them. But go ahead.
And you said a black woman said it first.
Yep.
So no, what I think though is I see them clapping back on people who have attacked them and people who seem to be attacking them. And there will be many times when I'm like, dude, they weren't really coming at you like that, man. They were trying to give you the threads, the information, give you the receipts. But I see that both of them have their emotions on their shoulder. And if they feel like you're coming at them, and I'm not putting up for them because I think they could do better. I wish they would respond the way that you just described, because I think that would serve the movement a lot better. But I realize that we're all flawed, no matter how much popularity or how many followers we have, we're all flawed to some degree. I really wish we can move them into that direction. But by saying things like they don't like black women, we're not helping support that movement. And that's my only concern. And I'm not saying that you were wrong in saying that, nor am I saying that the women who said it earlier were wrong. I just think that we could do better.
But at the same time, you know, we got to call them out on it, right? Just like you have allies who are white. Well, let me rephrase that. You have white people who claim to be allies, particularly Democrats and liberals, right? And we find out that they're racist, so they hold some racist thoughts, right?
That's because
we call them out on that.
That's because
too many of us are in the sunken
place. Too many of us are in the sunken place.
No. But it's not that. It's not that. There are some. How many white liberals have we caught saying and doing racist shit?
Right.
We thought they were on our team, right?
Exactly.
Right. And we got to call them out for that. We got to call them out for that. You know, just like I know some white people who are married to black people and they support racist policies. That makes you racist. You support racist policies and you vote for racist policies, you're racist. Plain and simple. There's no way to dice that, you know, and we got to call them out on that.
Right.
So it's easy to be like, oh, you know, defending them for X, Y, Z, but then saying, you know what? Again, if you only claim like this kind of black woman, then just say, I only like sisters that are conscious, that get down like this. And just say that. Don't say you for black women. Or how many people we know that do community work that deal in respectability politics? They only want liberation for only a certain kind of black, like the talented 10th, right? Okay. There's people that are like that, right? Am I right? Am I wrong? Right. Yeah, well, you're not really for black people if you're only for the talented 10th, right? You really
so does that mean that they hate everybody?
Pretty much, because what happens is this is what happens. When we start doing things like I'm the talented 10th and I only fuck the respectable Negroes, right? Number one, the vast majority of black people are not what you would consider respectable Negroes, right? And then it's only going to take one or two things for one of the Negroes you know to not be considered respectable. You feel me? Here's a good example. When President Obama, back when he won the election originally in 2008, and he went to Martha's Vineyard, right? There were a lot of black respectable Negroes who were like, he's not one of us, right?
Yeah.
He's not one of us. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that line, you start moving that, you start blurring those lines, you know? Like Erykah Badu, when we found out that she didn't have dreads, we found out that she had extensions. People were already Xing her out saying she's not conscious. You feel me? Mm-hmm. So when we start blurring those lines, when we start saying, well, I ain't like this kind of person, it's only going to take one thing for you to say, this person's not woke, get out my face. You know, I don't mess with that person.
Well,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, this woke police thing that we got going on has always been stupid. It's been stupid when it was in hip-hop. It was stupid when it's in the conscious community. It's stupid in politics. It's stupid everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree with you, but I just wonder if we're helping the movement when we say totalitarian statements like they don't like black women, when you might really be saying they only like a certain type of black woman. Those are two different messages, and I wonder if we're misserving the movement when we do that. And I'm not talking about the black women who said it first. Yeah. I'm talking about us.
All right, let me give you a different analogy then. All right? Like, I don't go see stand-up comedians unless it's like Dave Chappelle, right? Okay. Like, it's not my cup of tea, right? So there are some comedians that I dig, but they're very few. But I will not go out and pay to see a stand-up comedy. But if Dave Chappelle comes to town, I'll go see him, right? If Chris Rock comes to town, I'll go see him, right?
But you're not saying I hate stand-up comedians. You're saying I only mess with a certain type.
So do I like stand-up comedy?
You like stand-up comedy from...
I don't like stand-up comedy. I don't like stand-up comedy. I'm not going to go see... I don't like it. Now, I see Chris Rock. I see Dave Chappelle. You know what I'm saying? So I shouldn't say I like stand-up. I'm for stand-up comedians. I'm for stand-up comedians. I love stand-up comedians. But then the only one I go see
stand-up comedians.
I might as well say that. Because if you're a comedian and you cut a town, guess what?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go see you, Seko. You my man, but I'm not gonna go see you. You know what I'm saying? But if you was Dave Chappelle, I'm gonna be there. If you was Chris Rock, I'm gonna be there. You know.
You know, that brings me back to there was a time when you and we used to go check out the spoken word artists.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so somebody asked me one time, you like spoken word artists? It's like, nah. And they're like, but you always at the spot. That's because I like 13, I like Godchild, and you know I was a celebrity crush on Queen Sheba. So,
there you go.
Yeah. So at that point, I was saying, nah, I don't like it. But then after a while, I said, you know what? I like a certain type. So I couldn't say I don't like spoken word. I just like a certain type of performance. And I think that's just a more accurate statement than saying I don't like spoken word.
But now let's add another thing to this, right? I know I'm playing semantics. Let's play semantics. And I think I was clear on this earlier. If I run around town saying I'm for stand-up comedians, support your local comedians, support your stand-up comedians. Yo, I'm all about stand-up comedians. Yo, I listen to, you know, but the only person I go see is Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle. Can I really be kicking that mess?
I'm saying that if you were to say, I really don't like a lot of stand-up comedians except for Chris Rock.
No. Hear me out.
That would be more accurate.
Hear me out. I'm running around. Look. Now let me use their words. I'm for black people. I'm for the liberation of black people. And I don't really fuck with black women. Can I really say I'm for black liberation? That's the key, man. Thomas Sankara said it. Thomas Sankara said it first. He said, you cannot have black revolution without the liberation of our women. You cannot have black liberation without the black revolution without the liberation of our women. Thomas Sankara said that.
Are you sure a black woman didn't say it first?
They probably did. But Thomas Sankara said it, you know. And, you know, so.
I've never heard Umar nor Tariq say, I don't like black women.
They don't have to. They don't. It's just like that. It's just like that white person who's married to that black person, right? You probably never heard him say the N-word. You probably never heard him say that. But again, it's not what you say, it's what you do, man. You can say that all day, but you know, if you pulling that level for racist policies, you know what I'm saying? Then you not really, you see what I'm saying?
And I've also seen them support, well, not Umar. Let me pull Umar off the table. But I have seen Tariq support sisters who are, and that might be the type of sisters that he supports, but that's different than saying he doesn't like black women. That's saying that he supports a certain type.
Well, you know, Dave Chappelle come to town, I'm gonna be there.
That's what's up, man. But I'm glad we had this conversation, because when you said that at the restaurant, I was like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But now I really understand your point. Your point is he presents himself like he doesn't love black women because of the way he responds to certain black women, which is a different message than he doesn't like black women.
Actually, my point is you can't say you for black women and you only for a particular type of black women. You can't do that. Okay. You can't do that, man. Again, a revolution has to be intersectional. If it's not intersectional, then we can't really say we for black liberation. We can't do that.
I share. Okay. On a lighter note, man, Black Panther.
Yes, I can't wait. Oh man, I can't wait. So yeah, I'm really excited.
We're doing an early screening on Thursday. So we're doing an early screening on Thursday, and then we're doing an after party. People are going to be dressed up in cosplay, traditional cultural outfits.
That's dope. That's dope.
It's going to be hot, man.
And let me tell you something, Seko. I think, because we're doing a screening too. Right? But we're doing a screening a week after. I think of all the brothers that I know around the country that I put in work, I think I'm the only one that's not doing it on Thursday. Everybody else I know is doing it on Thursday, and I'm doing it the following Saturday because we have a martial arts event that we're doing with all the black martial artists in the area, and then we're gonna go take everybody to see Black Panther. So and that was the only time we can get. I thought it was dope that when we called the movie theater, this was months in advance. They were like, "We don't have any more space left." I was like, yo, this is the only time I'm like, yo, that's dope. Like that is super dope. Yeah. You know. And they were like, if you don't call by this time, you can't get that date.
Exactly.
Like, if you don't pay by this time, you can't get that date. I thought that was really dope.
Man, I'm loving it. But Aki, I appreciate the conversation. I can't wait to talk about the Black Panther movie with you.
I'm down for that.
We definitely got to do that. And there was something else you mentioned in the podcast that I think we need to tap on to. And I also want to talk to you about Amara La Negra.
Cool. I'm down for that.
We definitely got to do that, all right?
All right. Peace, man. Thanks a lot, man. Love you, man.
Peace.